So, over the past few days, things have been really crazy. From raids in New York to high-speed chases in Cali, and of course, everyone has been concerned about the new federal hemp ban, which aimed to get rid of all synthetic derivatives like Delta-8, Delta-10, HHC, or what most folks would consider gas station weed. But could that have been a first step in a wider legalization tactic to finally reschedule the good herb? Because we've now got fresh reports that the feds plan to cover CBD under Medicare, as we saw a few weeks ago in the video posted by President Trump. Plus, it turns out that some GOP congressional leaders are cautiously optimistic that President Trump will in fact reschedule the good herb.
CBD. 3 letters you're probably very used to hearing these days, but what is it?
CBD is known as cannabidiol, and it's a component of cannabis which doesn't have the psychoactive component that THC does.
Which means this won't get you high.
Anecdotally, we're seeing amazing pain relief qualities when it's used topically. When it's used orally, we're seeing things like anxiety and depression and sleep improve.
So popular, it's spreading rapidly.
It's really like the Wild West. Anything goes out there now. There are so many different companies and products popping up.
In 2018, Congress passed the Farm Bill, which legalized the production of hemp, another component of cannabis that CBD is derived from. The catch, the products could not contain a percentage of THC larger than 0.3%.
We're fairly confident that it's effective, it's doing something in the body, but we want to see bigger clinical trials that will hold more merit in the future.
A major problem in the industry, according to compounding pharmacists Gene and Mike, is the fact that it's largely unregulated and therefore not always accurate.
It's a dietary supplement where the FDA does not have the ability to go in and regulate each product.
Gene and Mike recommend working with a healthcare practitioner to find what works for you, because not only are the products different, but you, the patient, are as well.
Work on finding both a dosing frequency and a dose that works best for them.
Chiropractic doctor Lou Cofrancesco, he says CBD has changed his life.
When I heard about CBD oil, because I also was blessed with getting bit by a Lyme tick, so I've been dealing with Lyme disease for about 30 years. And it's an inflammatory process that goes into the joints. After you even kill the bug, you're still left with the damage. So when I discovered CBD oil, it put my body into balance.
Helping to lower his inflammation, even making it so he didn't need drugs to soothe his pain.
I was taking over-the-counter things, I was rubbing things in, I was taking aspirin or Tylenol.
A few drops of the oil under the tongue, and Cofrancesco says he feels like new.
I can feel pretty much within about a half an hour that pulsing pain that's in the joints begins to quiet down. Take a breath in, let it down gently, and set it into place like that.
And now, in addition to his spine adjustments, Cofrancesco recommends CBD oil to his patients and says the results have been astounding.
Yeah, and done. And I've had people with Parkinson's and MS and terrible things that go on, different types of arthritides. It's not a miracle drug. It's not for everything, for everybody. But I believe that the future is going to bring us a lot more information as they begin to refine it.
So it's clear to see that there are a lot of benefits when it comes to the good herb. In particular, some of those benefits that can be derived from some of those CBD products. And that's a big part of the recent ban. Some of those CBD products, a lot of folks are concerned that those products will no longer be accessible. Now, there are some folks who always say that President Trump is playing 4D chess. And we'll get into a little bit of that later on. But could this have been a precursor for wider legalization? We'll talk about it. But what we can see right now is that the feds do plan to cover CBD under Medicare. And that's a big move. And if you guys were paying attention, you guys would have seen in our reporting a couple weeks back where President Trump literally posted a video about the endocannabinoid system and also touted the benefits of CBD when it comes to seniors. So I think that that's a good thing. Now, according to this, and I quote, a federal health agency plans to soon authorize health insurance coverage for CBD under certain Medicare programs. The policy change is being circulated about a month after U.S. Health and Human Services, or the HHS, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. met with the head of an organization behind a video President Donald Trump shared over the summer that touted the therapeutic potential of the cannabinoid. And that video specifically called for Medicare coverage for seniors who want to use CBD as an alternative treatment. Now, amidst all the crazy chaos, this is some good news, guys. And for a lot of seniors and a lot of folks who do need CBD, they may now be able to access it, especially under Medicare. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a reminder about the video that President Trump posted, but before we do, let's dig into this a little bit more. Because as you guys can see, the proposed rule for 2027 will amend regulations which currently state that any cannabis products, any products whatsoever, cannot be covered. The new policy would prevent coverage for only cannabis products that are illegal under the applicable state or federal law, including the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Now, the recent redefinition of hemp could potentially impact this whole thing too, because according to this, recent changes to federal hemp law that are set to take effect next year, November 2026, and a growing push from states to restrict the sale of consumable cannabinoids can significantly limit the types of products that patients can access. And the reason for that is that the way the new law is written is that it'll only allow for such small, limited concentrations of THC that most growers and manufacturers say that the idea of a CBD carve-out is infeasible. And this could potentially lead to a significant added cost of extracting CBD isolate so as to not run foul of the law. Now, all this goes back to the video President Trump posted a few months ago about the endocannabinoid system and the benefits that it'll have for a lot of seniors across the country. And that video was a big move. And in that video, not only did they promote the benefits of the good herb, but they also suggested that covering CBD under Medicare would be the most important senior health initiative for the century. It goes on to say, and I quote, "It's time to educate doctors on the endocannabinoid system, provide Medicare coverage for CBD, and give millions of seniors the support that they deserve." Now, the video itself was fantastic, and it touted tons of great benefits when it comes to the good herb, in particular the endocannabinoid system. But it's not just that, because the video also pointed out the economic benefits of marijuana legalization, saying that on an annual basis, it can amount to a cost savings of $64 billion a year if cannabis was fully integrated into the healthcare system. Have a look.
And 20% of seniors are already using CBD today for pain, arthritis, cancer symptoms, sleep disorders, Alzheimer's, and many other ailments of aging. But doctors are not equipped to provide guidance, and there are no FDA standards for what is already in the market today. Imagine if that were the case for other medications. Older adults are suffering needlessly. Hemp-derived CBD can help them feel better, live longer, and improve their quality of life significantly.
A PricewaterhouseCoopers report estimates annual cost savings for the U.S. nearly $64 billion a year if cannabis is fully integrated into the healthcare system.
So all of that is great news, guys. CBD for seniors is amazing, and I'm all for patients getting access to the products that they need, especially if it's going to be covered under Medicare. But what about the wider legalization movement? What about federal legalization, or at the very least, federal rescheduling? Is that something that President Trump is going to do pretty soon? Is he playing 4D chess right now and getting rid of all the synthetic derivatives like Delta 8, Delta 10, and HHC and making way for federal legalization? That's something that a lot of folks have been discussing, and we'll dig into that a little bit more because it turns out that some congressional GOP leaders are cautiously optimistic that President Trump will reschedule, and we'll dig into it. But before we do, just a quick reminder, guys, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or just cop some merch from our merch store. And as you guys can see, we got that brand new American grown hoodie, The Good Herb. If you guys want to support, use that code ICANN THC. It works on all the merch. Link is in the description below. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics, use the code LEGAL. It works on the bundle and the beans.
And just last month, he suggested reclassifying cannabis from Schedule 1, yes, the same category as drugs like heroin and LSD, to Schedule 3, alongside steroids and Tylenol with codeine. Now, why would that matter? Well, it could mean fewer criminal penalties for users, lower costs for companies, that could mean more affordable products for you, the consumer, and more research into medical uses. Let us know what you think. Is this all buzz once again, or do you actually have high hopes the US is making another step towards legalization?
Now, whether this is all smoke and mirrors, or in fact 4D chess and a precursor to full federal legalization or rescheduling, we'll have to wait and see. But what we can see is that the Supreme Court has scheduled closed-door meetings to hear a case which is seeking to overturn federal prohibition. And that's a case which we described and mentioned to you guys in the past. But where the really big news comes in is that GOP congressional leaders are cautiously optimistic optimistic that President Trump will reschedule the good herb, which he says is an alternative to highly addictive opioids. Now here we see a congressional Republican from Pennsylvania speaking on this very issue, so let's hear what he had to say.
You know, this is a room full of individuals that are in the cannabis industry, an industry that has created 500,000 jobs around the country. It's fantastic, and it really is that level of familiarity that we as an industry are trying to make sure we're able to get more legislators that have that knowledge, that education, that understanding of the issue as we move forward. So, you know, this is a room full of individuals that are in the cannabis industry, an industry that has created 500,000 jobs around the country, generates hundreds of millions of dollars in state tax revenue on an annual basis, yet is not publicly traded in the United States, can't be on the U.S. exchanges. So with your experience, your subject matter knowledge, and your position that you have here, how do you see the cannabis conversation being a part of the America First agenda in this Congress and going forward?
Well, it fits really well into the America First agenda. I mean, first off, it's patently offensive that you can have Canadian companies that are involved in the same exact business activities as American companies that are traded on our stock exchange, the Canadian companies and not American companies. Also, if you look at it, if you were to totally make illegal cannabis, you would still have usage, but the people that would be controlling it would be the narco terrorists, the drug cartels, etc. So, or if you didn't have it, if you didn't have illegal growers and suppliers here, you'd be importing it. So it makes a lot of sense because we know that if we can make sure that it's legal for medical use, and we can produce in the United States, then we're creating American jobs. We're dependent on ourselves, not others. We're not funding narco terrorism. But then also we need to make sure that there's a level playing field, and that's why we need CLIMB, and that's why we need safe banking, for example, so that these businesses are competing on an equal footing with other businesses and with foreign companies that are engaged in the same activity, only they have more protections under U.S. law than American companies.
How about a quick round of applause for the fact that we have leadership up here who can articulate this issue. Yeah, no, it's terrific.
So that in itself was fantastic. Hearing congressional Republican leaders come out and say stuff like that, I think it's important. And what I think is also important is getting a lot of younger blood in there. Younger generations, a lot of them are more open to the acceptance and legalization of the good herb. What we're seeing is that a lot of the older generations, and no offense to anyone who's watching, I know a lot of you guys are older folks as well, but the older baby boomers that are in politics, those are the ones who are really set in their ways and really pushing prohibition. I mean, just look at Mitch McConnell. He's a walking example of a prohibitionist person. I mean, what else can I say?
What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
Then the 81-year-old Senate minority leader stood silent. An aide steps in.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Yes. Still just a blank expression.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
A member of his security detail comes forward.
Head outside, sir. Come with us. Okay.
But on the flip side, we've seen this Republican congressional representative, Guy Rescheduling, I hope I didn't butcher his name, but he's all for the good herb. And actually, he said a bit more. So hear what he had to say. Check it out.
Let's tie this together, too, as we're talking about veterans and we're talking about access to cannabis, an alternative for opioids, rescheduling. So there's been a lot of discussion about it. Process started under the last administration, didn't move nearly as efficiently as I think all of us agree that it should. Here we are, we have the current administration. It's been brought up many times. It seems to be that there's a significant amount of support for it from the executive. But give us your perspective on rescheduling and what the industry could do to help itself as that process moves forward.
Well, we know the president is interested in it. He's made some comments. And if you look at the president's track record, he has a habit of taking what seems like very complex issues, controversial issues, distilling it, getting behind it, and then moving it forward. kind of wild comparison to talk about Israel when we're talking about this topic, but let's just look at the decision to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Up until that point, every president said they were going to do that, and all the so-called experts said it would be a disaster if you do it. He did it, and then right after you had the Abraham Accords, and now we also think that that's just so natural that the embassy would be in Jerusalem. I think it's the same thing with descheduling, because every administration says they're going to take a look at descheduling, or rescheduling rather, and no one ever does it. I think this president has that track record of taking really bold steps, doing it, and then once it's done, it looks like it was always that way. So that when it comes to rescheduling, I think I'm cautiously optimistic with the administration, and as soon as he gets behind it and does it, I think everything's going to fall into place. But it's really an executive. The executive branch needs to move on it, because ultimately the DEA has the statutory authority to do it. And I feel cautiously optimistic we're going to see something on that.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
So clearly, rescheduling is still something that's on the radar for a lot of folks. And partner that with the fact that CBD is now accessible to patients via Medicaid, I think that that's amazing. Now, earlier in the video, I told you guys about a couple crazy police chases and raids that happened in New York and California. And we're going to dig into it. But before we do, we have some good news. New York governors actually signed a bill to expand the state's medical marijuana program with new rules on home grow, possession limits, and more. Under this new law, patient certifications will be valid for 2 years rather than 1. It also removes the requirement that health professionals issuing medical recommendations must first consult the state prescription monitoring program, which was just another hurdle to getting access. But here's the big part. The bill also gives patients more flexibility with respect to possession limits, clarifying that patients and caregivers can have whichever is a larger amount, the designated maximum under state statute or a 60-day supply. Now, this is good news for folks like caregivers, but there are also a few other changes, and they actually put it together in a really nice video, so have a look.
What are 4 things you should know about this new medical cannabis bill? Number 1, it changes the age requirements for designated caregivers. Previously, caregivers had to be 21 years of age or older, and now they're able to be 18 years of age or older. Number 2, it changes the patient recertification requirements from 1 year to 2 years. Number 3, the medical bill now allows medical cannabis patients from other states to purchase from New York State medical cannabis dispensaries. Number 4, it changes the dispensing limits for medical cannabis patients. Previously, they were limited to a 60-day supply, but now they can receive a 60-day supply or up to the personal possession limit, whichever is greater.
So huge shout out to New York, because that's great news. But on the flip side, we've seen just a couple weeks ago, New York City officials made one of the biggest illegal pot shop busts in Brooklyn history. Have a look.
Now an exclusive, officials are calling an illegal pot shop bust the largest in Brooklyn history. Our Jennifer Bistram was the only reporter there today as the New York City Sheriff's Office and federal agents from HSI and DEA executed the warrant at the Love Story shop in Bushwick. About $1 million worth of cannabis flower, THC concentrate, edibles, flavored vapes, and untagged cigarettes were seized. A lot of the packaging was colorful and candy-like, targeting younger customers. Officials say a trapdoor from the apartment above was being used to get product into the store where it was being sold.
This product is not regulated, and they don't have a license to sell it. So we don't know where they're getting this product from. We don't know what they've mixed it with. We have no idea what it contains. So it's a huge public health issue for the whole community.
2 people were arrested. Over 1,400 cannabis businesses have been shut down since Operation Padlock to Protect was launched in 2024.
So again, even in legal states like New York, they're cracking down on some of these illegal shops. These are literal legit storefronts that are selling these unlicensed, unregulated products. And obviously, it's a problem. No one really knows what's in it. No one knows what's the regulation process. No one knows if it's been tested. It can cause a lot of health issues and health concerns for a lot of folks. And I think that's a big problem. But let's have a look now over at California, because there was a high-speed chase, which of course involved the good herb. Check it out.
This is how a high-speed chase from Salinas ended early Sunday morning after some alleged cannabis thieves made a wrong turn down a dead-end street in Gilroy.
It was like Christmas, you know what I mean? The whole thing with the whole block was lit up.
Monterey County Sheriff's deputies say this is why the driver and 2 occupants fled law enforcement. A Tesla packed with large-sized bags filled with marijuana, allegedly stolen from a cannabis operation on Potter Road, south of Salinas.
Well, it looked like a body, but instead of being a body, it was a big old bag of weed.
So I can tell you that in my 25 years of law enforcement history, this is by far the most amount of marijuana that I've seen in one single vehicle.
The amount of marijuana and value yet to be determined, but a security guard reported 3 to 4 suspects loading the cannabis into the Tesla and possibly a silver or gray Honda.
There was a security guard on scene.
How'd these guys get in?
I don't know. We're going to be looking into all of these details.
A 17-year-old arrested at the Gilroy scene might provide some answers, but 2 others fled on foot. The Honda was found ditched alongside Highway 101 at Gold Street, south of Salinas.
Actively processing the vehicles that were involved and, again, seeking information from the public as to any detail that could help to identify the additional 2 persons that fled from the car or anybody else that may have been involved in coordinating this burglary.
So things are getting crazy in the community, guys. Another legal state over in California, but thing is, that's nothing new. That's been happening time and time again. A lot of these legal stores in legal states are sitting ducks. A lot of them are forced to operate on a cash-only basis. And because of that, like I said, they're targets for thieves. And that's simply because it's still federally illegal. There are a lot of issues because it's still federally illegal, such as some of these businesses not being able to obtain banking. And again, it's a massive problem. But it's not all doom and gloom, guys, because we've seen recently that a lot more folks are still nonetheless consuming the good herb over consuming alcohol, and that was nonetheless more evident than over Thanksgiving. By the way, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And according to this, as more Americans choose the good herb over alcohol, mainstream media notices the cousin walk, a new Thanksgiving tradition. And if you guys know, you know, the good old Thanksgiving walk where you head out with your friends and your cousins and you come back and everyone smells a little bit different and their eyes are a little bit redder than when they first left. But it's always a good little tradition after dinner. But let me know what you guys think about everything that we discussed in today's video. Let me know what you guys think all in the comments down below. And don't forget to grab some of that new merch. It's available now. Grab it before it's all gone. And in our next video, we're sticking with California because we're exposing the secret reason why they cracked down on THC. It's all crazy. Have a look. It's coming up right now.